Hey everyone, hope you all are doing great. I hope you went through the last video and understood the topic, what I was explaining there. Mostly I covered the database part, like how the database works and what exactly is the database and why we need database, right? And also I was explaining like how to install it and how to use to retrieve the data. But interestingly, I think I told you that time, like once you install the database for the first time, you do not will not have any table there. And unfortunately, I forgot to tell you how to load table in your database so that you can practice the syntax, what I was going through, those clauses, those statements, right? So today I'll try to cover all those things like how to create table and insert data into your database so that you have your own table, right? And I'll try to create one a fresh database. Okay, so let's try to create a database first. I told you that there'll be lots of database in a server. In when you join an organization, you may work in the some, or you may work in one database inside that server. You may have access to that database. You may see the other database also, but you may not able to see the tables because of some security or access related things. And so let's go ahead and see how to create a database. As I told last time, creating a database is very easy. It's a simple single line syntax which you will never use because you will not create a database in organization. But for your practice purpose, I'm showing you. So here you just write this syntax, create database, and give database a name. So for us, it's like a SQL English training, or maybe SQL in English. So this will be my database name. I'm just giving a name. Okay, and in project they give the project related names so that it become easy for you to understand. So once I run this syntax, this will give me this message: commands complete successfully. And if you just refresh your databases, because it'll come on the databases, once you refresh, you can see the database occurs here, SQL in English. So as I told, when you first time install the SQL, you will have only system database, right? And that system database will look like this. It will not have any table, any views for you. You are creating those tables and view, just like I created in SQL class. If you see here, there are lots of tables which I have created, right? So similarly, here also you'll create for your practice purpose. So how to load data into this database now? There are two ways. One is like the default import ex export wizard, which is by default comes with the SQL, and other is like by the statement, by the SQL statement. Mostly in interview they ask how to create a table with a SQL statement, but I'll show you both so that when you go for the practice, you can quickly load some data into SQL and you do your practice. So first of all, I'll go with the import export wizard. If you have existing database like class SQL I had already, you can go here task, right? And similarly, I created SQL in English. So if I see here, I don't have any table in this database, SQL in English. So just click in the SQL in English, okay? Or whatever database you have in your system. Suppose if you're creating in the master, just right click on the master. Okay, right click. Okay, so let me right click in my SQL in English. Then task, click on task. Once you right click SQL in English, a pop-up will open where you will click on task. Then click on import data. There's another option, import flat file. If you see in import data, you will get the import flat file option even there. So you can use either one. Like if you have Excel or Excel file or CSV source, you can use import data. Even your source is SQL, you can use import data. If it is some text file or something, you can use flat file. So I'm just clicking in import data. Okay, once you click on that import data, you will get a wizard open as an pop-up, which is having some of the information and notes. Just you can click next, and once you click next, it'll show choose a data source. So your data source is Excel, so you need to click on Excel. If it is some flat file, then CSV, then you can click flat file source or text. Okay, and if your data source is SQL, then you can choose Microsoft OLEDB provider for SQL Server. Got it? So suppose I am clicking Microsoft Excel. So this is the source from where you will be loading your data in your SQL in English database. Okay, so you need to give the path where your Excel is saved. So in my desktop I have an Excel called table, so that particular Excel file I'll load. So if you just open it, yeah, okay, it's showing now. Then just go, and there is a checkbox. First row has a column name. As my Excel, if I show my Excel, it has a column, right? It has a column header, order ID, item, amount, customer ID. If you don't have, then you can just uncheck this. It'll create some by default name like F1, F2, like those. And mostly you just give some column header, so you can check this. First row has a column name. Okay, so it'll treat the first row as a column header. Okay, if you do not check it, it'll treat it as a data, and it'll again create some by default header for you. Okay, so which you do not require. So is a check by default, it will be checked. Okay, then next, then you have to choose your destination. So destination will be SQL Server, right? And for that I should select Microsoft OLEDB provider for SQL Server. Okay, just click the last option, Microsoft OLEDB provider for SQL Server. It's an like provider who helps to load by connecting, okay, to the Excel. So once you click there, it will show the server name, it will show the authentication, it will show the database where you're loading. So what is the server name? When you first time open your SSMS, okay, what you see this, right? Server name and authentication, the same thing will be reflecting there also, the same name, SQL Express HSM5 LLI, so same name. Okay, because it is trying to log in with your login credential, like the same thing will be available, will be showing here as well. So it will be login first. Okay, then it will load, just like you log in, used to log in for the first time, right? Connect. So first it'll let's like this here, connect, right? So these things also, the page will use to connect into your database, SQL in English. And once you what happened, timeout provided for SQL. Okay, fine. mm, okay, so this is done. Refresh. Next. So if you see some issues, then just refresh and click next. Okay, so now if you see here are two options: copy data from one or more tables or view, write a query. Second option is to write a SQL query, right? As of now you do not you're not expert to write SQL queries. And even just select, because it's an Excel to SQL import, right? You can just select the first option. Okay, copy data from. So once you hit next, it'll show all the tables. If you have two sheets, then it'll show the second sheet, third sheet, fourth sheet, like this. And even the new table name, every sheet will have a different table created. But as you have one sheet, so it'll create one by default, this table, and you can change the name of this table to first, as we are creating our first table, so first table. Okay, edit mapping will option will show you what are the options available. Okay, create destination file, it's by default creating, you do not need to write those create syntax. Even you want to see this is the create statement, which we will be discussing after some time. I told that there is a second way also, right, where you need to write the syntax, you need to write the syntax like this. Okay, so for now forget it. You can check all those things, you can even change the data type. Okay, all the data types is here. For that you need to know the data type very well. Okay, those things also will go through later. So once you check this mapping, okay, even if you do not click also, then also fine. Even I'm just showing the options what exactly it shows. The preview is showing the Excel preview what exactly data you have in your Excel file in your source. So now click on next. Once you click on next, run immediately. Okay, next, you can see all those information. Directly click on finish. So once you click on finish, you will see it's all the initial data flow task, initial connection, getting SQL command, setting source connection, all those things are coming. Okay, success, everything is successful. 6 rows transferred. Okay, we had 6 rows, so 6 rows got transferred. Except headers, we have 6 rows. Yes, six, so it got transferred. Now you can close it. And table name we have given first table, it did not come yet, right? So you have to just right click on the SQL in English and just hit refresh. Once you refresh, your table name will uh, be showing on inside the table folder. If you see here, first table. Okay, and now you can use that table here. Select star from first table. However, before that, before right right executing this syntax, you need to check like if this is in the correct database selection or not. As we use here, use SQL English, it'll automatically select it my correct. If it is in somewhere else like master or something, this particular table will not work. So for that, you need to change that master to SQL in English, which you can do with the help this command, which like with the help of this command, or you can do by going to the drop down, okay, options. So I'm just executing this command, it will change SQL in English, and now it will allow me to view the data inside the table because this table resides within the database of SQL in English, not the other, right? So now you can implement all the SQL queries or syntax which we discussed on the first video, right? Where clause, where item equal to, and I told single quotes when you are searching some data type character or varchar, right? So pizza we have two, so it should give me two. Okay, nice. So now if you want to group, so sum of the amount group by item. So we have only two items which supposed to be grouped. Rest of everything is are unique. Okay. Suppose if we apply item and sum of amount. Okay. Will it run? No, because I told last video whenever you are using some aggregate functions like sum, count, okay, max, min, all those aggregate function, right? I'll go through aggregate function also in a bit. But if you're using aggregate function in a SQL select statement with some other column which are non-aggregate columns, okay, which are not used with any sum, count or anything, no aggregation, just a simple column, then those columns or column any, like if maybe it's one or maybe two, okay, those column names should be in the group by. That means item will be grouped and amount will be summed. So as we have only two items or one items which is pizza, which has two items, two lines, so these will be grouped and others are unique, so it will again bring the same numbers. So if you see the lines will be 5 and these numbers will be same, only 380 which is 760 will come in our result set as a part of pizza. 760 will be for pizza item pizza. So if you select here 760 for pizza and rest everything looks same, so 5 records. Okay, so you can utilize this table to uh, go through your SQL statements which we discussed last video. And when we discussed last video, if we are not using any group by any grouping, just I mean I need total sum, then you do not need to use group by. You can just sum of amount, because there is no a non-aggregated column, and that's why we do not need group by. Okay, so this is the example to load a table from source to destination with the help of import export wizard. Okay, so now we'll go to the second part with the help of some syntax, how we can load the data. And to do this, we need to follow two steps. One is creating a table. We have to have a table. And second thing, inserting the data. So if you want to insert in an existing table, if you want to insert some data in an existing table, suppose in this is a table you want to insert, then you do not need to create. You can just use the insert statement, what we used in the last video. Last video also we inserted some of the rows, right? So the same thing you can use here. But if you want your data in a new column, not sorry, in your data in a new table, then you need to create a table first. So how to create a table with the help of syntax? So I need to, suppose I am creating table name second table. Okay, so your syntax will be create, just like we used create database. So similarly we are creating now table, so it will be create table. For the view we used to use create view, right? So here we will use create table, and then table name is second table, and then start parenthesis. Once you start parenthesis, you need once you start a parenthesis, you need to close a parenthesis also. So inside those parentheses you can give your column names and all those things. Suppose I am creating a table, second table, which is related to employee. So a employee table will have always some employee ID also, right? Employee ID. And after the column name, I'm creating a table which the name of the table will be second table. Okay, and within the parentheses I am giving the column with a data type. Okay, so employee id is integer type, right? I can give int, data type as int, then comma, then next column. I am deciding now my next column name, suppose it should be employee name. And employee name is what? A varchar or char, right? Char and varchar, what is the difference? Character is a fixed digit. Okay, if you use less than that specified digit, it will not by default take the less space. It will take the entire space. Suppose if you use char 5 and your name is only two digit, like 2, like AB or XY, the name employee name is like 2 digit, still the system, your table will occupy 5 digit character. Okay, 5 digit character. So that's why we use varchar. Varchar is variably, like it will reduce the space automatically based on whatever you have given. Suppose employee name I am giving 10. So if my employee name is completed in the uh, five uh, digit, then automatically it will reduce to 5. It will not use entire 10. So this is the benefit of varchar. So employee name, employee ID, I think these two are sufficient for now, for as an example, right? So now if we, or maybe we can give another, uh, then manager, or give employee city, or maybe city from where the employee belongs. So city also varchar, suppose I'm giving 5. So I have created the table. So successfully completed, right? If I just refresh here, so now I can see two tables. One already I created first table, then second table. If I see in the first table, I have already some columns, right? Here also you can see columns, right? But if I see the second table, it is showing some columns as well, like employee ID, employee name, city. But it doesn't have any data. How? I'll show you. Select. So you have created the table, so you can use select on the table. So it'll select everything, whatever in the table. So we do not have anything except headers because we created the header name, column headers. So it's coming, right? Now we need to insert data so that I can see the data in table. So we already went through on the last video how to insert. So you can go through that part. So I'll just show quickly insert, okay, into. So I told in this in the first video that when you're inserting all the columns data in a sequence manner, like whatever sequence it is, employee ID, employee name and city, then you do not need to give column names. And if you're inserting in not in a sequence, okay, then or maybe one or two out of three, then you need to specify the column because SQL by default will not understand what you are inserting. So I'll touch all three scenarios. Okay. So first scenario, so when you properly inserting everything in sequence, when you're properly inserting everything in sequence. So employee ID, suppose 101. Integer, I do not need to give single quotes as I told last video also. Then I'm giving a name called Nathan and I'm giving a city like Pune, suppose. Okay. So now you have to give as values, not value. Okay, I just mistyped. Insert into my table name, then values, all the values is, and because we are not giving the column names because these values are in sync, in sequence, like employee ID, employee name, city. So if I just click execute, it'll insert my data, and you can see right now I have one. Okay, now the second method or second way of inserting. Okay, so same thing, you will write insert into table. Now you found your sequence are different in values. Suppose you are giving the name first. Suppose Chandra. Okay. Then you are giving your employee ID and you are giving then your city. So if I go and it is similar, right? Same to same. So if I go here and execute, will it go? No. Why? If it might have go if the data type matches. Always remember, you need to always take care. If your data type would have matches because we have only one integer, these will easily go. If suppose I am trying to insert, I'll show one wrong example as well. Okay, why we should always take care and why it is not going, I'm explaining. First I'm explaining why it is not going. So if you see Chandra, the first thing is the data type is integer, int. It should be an int or numeric. So Chandra, your text you are submitting, so it's giving me error. Second is a varchar. Although we are sending int can be inserted into a varchar data type. Okay, it will treat as a varchar. It will not treat it as an int, but it will treat it as a character 202 like character. Okay, and Delhi. The last is varchar, so it will automatically go. So what I was telling, if you sending some wrong data, then also it will insert. How? I'll show that example. Suppose now my employee ID is int, so it is coming int. But my employee name and city is varchar, so both are varchar. But I am giving my city first and employee name last. Okay, and I am not even mentioning any columns here, so it doesn't know the sequence. It will think because SQL is not like human, right? It cannot analysis, okay, for which this data is. It will only check for data type. So now it will understand, okay, 202 is for my employee ID, Delhi is my employee name, city is Chandra. If I try to insert, it will get inserted. But the problem here is this is a different thing. We have defined varchar as 5, right? And Chandra is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's why it is giving me error. If it would have been something 10, it would have been easily insert. Any 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 digit. So now if I insert, if you see, one row got affected. Although you are inserting a wrong value into wrong column, it got inserted because SQL only while inserting looks for the data type. If your data type is matching with the wrong data, it'll insert where if you are not giving the column specifically. Okay, so if you see here, employee name Delhi, city any. So in these cases, how you will tackle? You need to give column name. Again, before values, parenthesis start, parenthesis finish. I need to specify your column name, what you are actually inserting. Employee ID, right? So first is your employee ID. Okay. Then second is city. Your table second is employee name, but while inserting, you are using city, not employee name. So you have to mention here. So employee name will be the last column. So now SQL will understand, okay, that person who is inserting the data, he has given me first column employee ID, so 202, city as Delhi, employee name as any. So now if you insert it, it will get inserted correctly. Now if you see here, see the third row is coming correctly, employee name and this, but Delhi did not came correctly, right? I am showing you how you can by mistake insert some wrong data. Okay, these are the examples. And the third thing, I showed this example, a similar example. If you want to add only employee ID and employee name, you do not need city. Okay, suppose employee ID and employee name. Suppose you need, I'll just change the employee ID 303. Okay, and maybe Shelly. Okay. Okay. This will be 6 digit. Okay, Shelly. Fine. I'll keep in 5 digit. Okay. Now if you insert, it'll not. Because why? The column number in the table is not matching with the values you're inserting. So that case, you need to properly mention your column names, what you are inserting, employee ID, and then employee name. If you insert this specifically while inserting, if you see Shelly and Nitin with city as null, because we did not mention anything, that means it will go to null. Okay, got it? And I was telling you something, right? Whenever you insert a integer into character value column, that also will get inserted. Suppose if I insert instead of Shelly, now I'll insert 444 in an employee name and city as 555 and give it as a different employee ID as 404. So if I try to insert, one row affected, so it inserted. Although it is inserting them as an varchar. These are varchar. This is only integer. Okay. Understood how to insert and create a table. So this is one of the table you create, right? And how to delete data from a table. Specific rows if you want to delete. Suppose we inserted something wrongly and now you thought, oh, I inserted this thing, this any, no, this Delhi employee name Delhi wrongly, and even here wrongly. What to do? So before deleting, you need to query it with the where clause. You first try to filter it and get your result set perfectly so that you know, okay, this is my perfect result set to get deleted. Because who knows, you are deleting some one rows, but by mistake you are deleting instead of one rows 10 more rows, right? So you need to be specific and be sure what you are deleting, because you will have many data in your table and you will not be very able to verify manually, right? So you need to be specifically see first with the help of select statement and where clause, then you need to use the delete statement. Okay, and what we will do now, select star from table. I want to delete employee name where my employee name is equal to Delhi, right? Delhi. So I'll first query it. Is it giving me correctly that record which is not correct? Yeah, this one. I need to delete this. Okay, once you find with the select, always try to get even uh, to delete, try to write the select query so that you get the result set. Now, okay, instead of select star, make it delete from second table. If you write only this execute, everything will get deleted because you are not specifying, you are deleting delete from this table, everything delete. So that's why I'm writing where employee ID is Delhi. So if you click here, one row affected, again go back, select star from Delhi. If you see, it will having null, nothing. That means zero records. If you just without where clause, you just run the select statement, you will see Delhi is gone. Now you want to delete these things, you can delete these things also. Employee now to delete this, if something is unique, then you can see everything is unique only. Here 404 is not available here, 4044. So any column you can use, even city column also you can use. Okay, when city equal to 555. So now if you go and delete select, okay, good. Now as I told, let me show you delete from, right? See, as I told you, although this seems to be an integer 555, what we had actually inserted, we had inserted it as it in a text column, right? If you see here varchar column, so it went as in text. So I told, although it looks like an integer, but it's actually a varchar. City is a varchar. So it is you who wrongly entered, right, in an integer in a city. So now while deleting, you need to give single quote because varchar or character needs single quote. Now if you see, it came. Now delete it. One more example got covered, right? So now if you see again, select star from, it will not be available, and this table will have only 3 records. So you can create a table like inserting like this, okay? And if you want to insert multiple lines at one go, that also you can do. Suppose I need to insert multiple line, you can follow, but this same things, like if you want to uh, insert specific like with the sequence and all the columns, then you can just use comma and the same like this parenthesis start and end and give the other name, okay? And if you are just giving with the column name, then you have to write the column name before value once only. Suppose if I give example, so now I'll insert more, okay? I'll just make it 404, okay? And I'll make suppose this I'll make as Amy, okay? Employee name, and city I'll make it as Hyderabad, and this I'll make as 505, and here I'll make as Nita, and it I'll give as Mumbai. I'll give 3 digit only, okay? Or maybe mm, maybe Pune only, okay? So there are 2 records I'm inserting, both will get inserted as 2. You can give multiple with the help of comma, okay? Now if you see these 2 records 404 and ME Hyderabad and 505 got inserted, okay? If you want to insert only employee and employee name instead without city, then also you can do that. Employee ID have given like suppose 606, then comma Lily, okay? Then comma 707 Gil, okay? Right, so if I insert employee name, these 2 got inserted, these are the 2. And as I told, the column which you did not mention in while inserting, If it is allowing null, it will give null, null, null. If it is not allowing, then even this insert command will not run. It will throw an error. Okay, this is mandatory, not null. Okay, those are called constraint. Those we will go through later. Like you can even specifically design your table like this particular column cannot hold null. Just like here, it is null option available, right? You can give not null also, like it should not be null. Those This is part of constraint. Okay, so now you know that both way of inserting. Okay,